In 81, he had already suffered losses. And even after that, he also sustained a number of losses. But among the losses in his storied career, this one is particularly bitter. And he had been waiting for several months now to avenge that victory. I don't know exactly why he feels very bitter about that loss. Would you know, Mon?
All right, kasi alam mo itong si Navarrete is on a comeback trail. He compiled 8 consecutive victories, 6 within the distance. And lalaban natin nun sa World Championship dahil rated natin ng WBC, WBIBF number 5 nung makalaban niya si Montag in October last year in Araneta. Kaya nga ito, ang inisip pa nito yung makalaban niya itong Koreano at talunin niya.
Rolando Navarrete is showing some aces up his sleeve this early in the fight. But then again, remember, Rolando Navarrete was leading at the time. The Korean scored that 6-round knockout over him back in October last year. I tell you, see, this Korean fights in the most unorthodox style. He keeps his hands down, and he even offers his face as a punching bag. But he has a very sturdy and durable chin, probably the most durable chin of any Southeast Asian fighter I've seen in a long, long time. I don't know, however, how strong he is in the breadbasket. That was something that Navarrete was not able to probe in their first meeting last October.
Right, kasi ang tinarget ni Navarrete noon yung muka, yung panga, pero alam mo itong panga na to, square jaw. Even Rocky Lockridge was not able to pin this Korean down in the canvas.
Well, in the background, you can hear the voice of Jun Sarial asking Lando to get away from the ropes. Okay, Mr. Abaenza halted the fight momentarily to examine the eyebrows of both fighters. Looks like there was an accidental headbutt there. I'm waiting for the official signal from... Okay, this is the official signal from Mr. Abaenza that the cut on Navarrete was inflicted by an accidental headbutt. That means an automatic 1-point deduction for the Korean. But this is going to be a severe handicap for Navarrete. But I still haven't seen how severe the cut is. Well, so far I haven't seen any blood. But you can bet the Korean is going to train his bombs on it, because further aggravation of that cut to the point that it would force the stoppage of the fight would mean an automatic technical knockout victory for him. That kind of a rule is something that has never sat well with me, but then I'm not the one who makes rules. Incidentally, in case... Okay, that was it for round 1. We shall return very shortly. Very lovely round girl waving the round 2 card. And we take a look at the cut of Rolando Navarrete. Let's examine and scrutinize this, find out if it's serious. Well, I think it's located right along the line of the right eyebrow. So far, it hasn't bled. Well, he's got some very good cutmen working for him in his corner. No less than Bebo Elorde himself is applying medication on it to keep it from opening. Well, I was about to tell you before the round ended that Mr. Jun Sarial has launched an off-the-cuff fundraising drive here for the earthquake victims, and he was able to raise in less than 2 hours 33,550 pesos among the members of the Luzon Professional Boxing Association alone. And he has also asked some generous members or people at ringside to follow the gesture. And right now, Jerry Peñalosa and some of our more illustrious boxers are passing the hat around, and we should have a pretty good take before this fight is over. Ito talaga maiilang ka rito sa Koreanong to, Ramon?
Yes. Hindi mo alam kung kailan susuntok at anong kamay ang gagamitin niya.
Nakababa madalas yung kamay, tinawa. He's just using his footwork. Pero tama ka, tingnan mo yung panga nito. Parang bato.
Granite Joe Cantada.
Well, I wish I had that kind of a joke. But looks like Rolando staggered him somewhat with a right. The Korean is down. The Korean is taking the mandatory 8 count.
And that's a right hook. A timely right hook by Rolando Navarrete.
A right hook from the south for Rolando Navarrete knocks down the Korean for the first time tonight. Right in round number 2. Looks like the granite jaw is not that invincible after all. Well, Navarrete, buoyed up by that knockdown, is now brimming with more confidence as he launches a fresh attack. The Korean cutting him off with his unorthodox punches. Notice how he keeps his hands very close to his sides, practically defenseless, and then he suddenly launches that right with his entire heart and soul and his hip behind it.
Right, ang problema naman ni Lando ngayon, Joe, yung kanyang sugat. Talagang tinamaan kanina ng isa ni Muay Thai din at iniindan ni Rolando Navarrete ngayon yan.
Well, the problem here is if it will reopen, and I think it has reopened. I can see some blood around the right eyelid of Navarrete. The Korean chasing Navarrete. Lando leaning against the ropes and is being asked by his handlers to get away from the ropes. Lando connecting again with a short left. Ooh. Was a very dangerous position there for Rolando Navarrete. He almost lost his balance when he couldn't make up his mind whether he was going to throw a right or a left. Another cracking left to the cheek of the Korean. Tai Moon-jin replying with a right of his own. You know, that right hand of Tai Moon-jin was what destroyed Navarrete last October because of the extremely unusual way he throws it. Big round for Rolando Navarrete, and we shall return with Chapter 3 very shortly. Here is a moment worth reliving over and over again. Big knockdown for Rolando Navarrete right in round 2. There's the Korean loading up for another of his unorthodox rights, and he rather suddenly runs smack into a left, followed by a savage right hook from Rolando Navarrete. And we're back to the live action. This is round 3. We're scheduled for 10. Looks like the Korean was sufficiently revived during that 1-minute break. And so he has become an extremely dangerous dancing figure atop the ring again. He has that menacing look on his face that could really scare the daylights out of you simply looking at him. Remember, 1 point was taken away from the Korean for headbutting in the first round, but that also cost Navarrete a cut. Nagbukas na naman ba yung cut, Mon?
Yes, kanya tinamaan. Ngayon, hindi pa.
Rolando Navarrete leaning against the ropes. Connecting solidly with a left and a right again. The Korean missing with a left of his own. Navarrete playing it a lot more cautiously than he did in their first meeting last October. A desperate Korean lunging forward. He's still very dangerous. Well, he's got some footwork to display, too. Right now, he's circling Navarrete. Ducking away from the right. Navarrete complaining about another headbutt. Navarrete complaining to the referee about another headbutt. Okay, the action continues after Mr. Abenza took a look at that reopened cut on the right eyebrow of Lando. Moving left to the body by the Korean, got fended off immediately after a left thrown and the chin by Navarrete. Body attack by Lando. Well, the good boy from the jungle is more consciously at this point, forcing the Korean to look very awkward. Time and again, losing his balance after missing. Another head-jerking right hand from Navarrete rocks the Korean about 2 miles away. Well, you got to hand it to the Korean. You don't know whether he's hurt or not, because after absorbing a vicious right, he bounces right back on his toes. Oh, he's still a very dangerous character. Lando cannot afford to take chances with him. Undue chances, that is.
Poker face yung kalaban niya eh. Hindi niya alam kung nasaktan o ano.
Hindi mo malaman talaga eh. Kung kailan akala mo nasaktan na, bigla na lang magulugag. Ayan, nagkauluhan na naman. That was a bruising third round. Mukhang galit si Lando. We shall return. As we take a look at some slow-mo highlights of the previous round, that was round 3. Notice how the Korean lost his balance, practically staggered across the entire diagonal of the ring. And we're taking a look at some of the very eager faces at ringside, comprising part of the 10,000 jamming the Ninoy Aquino Stadium for one of the biggest fight events of the year, the great rematch between Rolando Navarrete and the Korean Moon Tae-jin. Rolando is raring to go. This is round 4. Again, the Korean displaying that very unorthodox stance, which has made him such a dangerous opponent to many people he had fought in the past, not only in Korea, but elsewhere around the world. He is now rated number 10 by the WBA, having displaced Rolando Navarrete after knocking out Lando in October last year. But I share your apprehensions about that cut on the right eyebrow of Navarrete, because the Korean seems to be training a lot of his left-hand bombs to it.
At ang mabigat pa sa Koreano, pagsugod to, nagbibitaw ng suntok, may kasamang ulo.
Talaga. Kanina nga, maangal si Lando na inuluhan siya. Well, this is a rare occasion where we see two southpaws, both packing dynamite in both mitts, trading leather atop the ring. Look at the confidence of this Korean. He doesn't mind if he is fighting in front of a hostile crowd. He doesn't mind if he has already suffered a knockdown. He's taunting Navarrete to come to him. Navarrete missing with a right shot to the body.
That cut is bothering Navarrete now.
Parang dalawa yung nakikita kong cut sa mata. Halos sarado na yung kanang mata ni Navarrete. Oh. That's going to be a terrific handicap for Orlando.
Alam mo, yun din ang cut niya nung nasa-offer niya. The same cut.
Here comes the Korean launching another fierce attack with that left hand. That left hand came in with impunity. Lando looks severely bothered by that half-shot right eye. In the meantime, the Korean is peppering him with right-hand leads. I still haven't seen Lando really go downstairs seriously, because although the Korean may have a granite jaw, I don't think the same holds for his breadbasket. Koreans are notoriously weak in the belly. More isolated rights by the Korean. This time in combination. Lando is simply playing defense at this point, trying to protect that right eye from further damage. There's another looking right by the Korean, raising the cut on the right eye of Navarrete. Alberto Del Norte has his work cut out for him during the 1-minute break between rounds. He's going to have to work feverishly on that cut. Try to deflate the swelling. And now is his opportunity. We shall return in 1 minute.
Philippine Airlines begins its day at midnight with 100.
Suffered a knockdown in the first, made back the second round. But I think he was able to make up for lost ground with a fierce rally in rounds 3 and 4. Incidentally, he also got 1 point taken away from him for headbutting, which caused that first cut on the eyebrow of Navarrete. Here comes the Korean launching another unorthodox attack. He's so reminiscent of Michael Spinks. The same kind of style that befuddled Larry Holmes. That's Bebo Del Norte in your ring set. Well, Bebo Del Norte actually burned a lot of long-distance lines communicating with Navarrete and Tae Moon Jin in Korea from his home base in Honolulu to put together this fight.
Right. Ito pa yan sa Seoul para makausap yung manager ni Moon.
You saw that. Hey, the Korean is not exactly unmarked. I see an abrasion under his right eye, too. On Nagkauluhan na naman yata.
Yes. Dahil ang Koreano, pagsugod niya, nauuna talaga yung ulo eh.
Ang hirap nito. Arkabyado si Lando pagka nagkakaputukan eh. So once again, the ring doctor is being summoned to take a look at that cut, which is getting worse by the minute. Pati yata sa ulo ngayon, pati yung scalp, tinitingnan ng doktor. Baka merong naputukan din doon si Lando. Bakit? Wala namang alalahanin kung doon sa scalp lang ang putok.
Sa ulo, hindi delikado. Huwag lang doon sa mata talaga.
A good left uppercut. I wonder why Navarrete hadn't used that earlier. An uppercut to the body of the Korean. This is something he should have tried much earlier. Test how tough the Korean's belly is. There's the Korean replying to the left. And Lando digs up right into his belly button again. I think the Korean is feeling it. The Korean is beginning to feel the effects of those body shots. He's not as invincible there as he is in his chin. Pero matindi yung mga binibitawan eh.
Tumatama siya kay Lando. Dalawa na cut ni Lando.
And now Navarrete's face is a bloody mess. The blood coming out of probably 2 cuts already around the eye region. And then here's the Korean craning his neck out, practically offering his face as a target for Lando, taunting Lando in an unmistakable gesture of contempt. Bouncing up and down his toes. He is so awkward in so many ways, but that is precisely what makes him so dangerous.
Right.
I don't believe Navarrete has ever met anybody like him in his storied career. And Navarrete has fought 65 bouts. That was not a sneaky right-hand jab by the Korean as he continues to bounce up and down and keep his distance from Navarrete.
Alam mo, Rattle, si Navarrete, hindi niya alam kung anong kamay ang pawawala ng Koreano.
What na? That was the bell. And we shall return with round 6 very shortly. Score of the Korean. The first one was deducted in round 1. So that's already 2 points taken away from the Korean, plus the 2-point disparity in round 2, where Navarrete inflicted him with the only knockdown so far in this contest. But Navarrete definitely is not out of the woods, because that cut is getting to be too nasty for comfort. And the Korean knows that if he further aggravates that cut to the point of forcing the gap position or the referee to stop the fight, it'll automatically go down as a technical knockout victory for him. More body shots by Navarrete. Left him open for that isolated right-hand lead of the Korean, which is thrown in such an unbelievable passion. You can't believe that it will connect, and that's precisely why it connects, because you don't expect it to connect. Well, these two fighters are unquestionably well-conditioned for this fight. In a 10-rounder, if a fighter is well-conditioned, this is normally the point where he gasps for second wind. And second wind shouldn't take too long in coming.
Alam mo, hirap nang makakita yung kanang mata ni Lando. Tumatama lalo ngayon yung kaliwa.
You're absolutely right.
Bumababa na yung guard ni Navarrete sa kanang mata niya.
Yeah, for all practical intents and purposes, Navarrete has been reduced to a one-eye jack. You know, when one of your eyes is closed during a boxing match, it's a severe handicap because you become simply a two-dimensional seer. You don't have any sense of perspective. It's very difficult to measure your punches when you have one of your eyes closed. Much more difficult to see a punch coming. Walking right by Navarrete. Staggered the Korean. But in his typical deceptive fashion, is back bouncing on his toes.
The Korean is hurt. Umaakap na ang Koreano kay Navarrete.
Pero bilib ako sa kumpiyansa nitong Koreanong to. Parang hindi iniinda yung mga suntok. Kanya lang, nahalata mo, nasasaktan din siya.
That's a solid bet.
The Korean had a final say in that round. 4 more rounds to go. Anyway, for the sake of Navarrete, that cut does not reopen after Bebo del Orde worked frantically on it during the 60-second break. And Jun Serial made a good point during that timeout there about Tai Moon-jin being cut in the mold of the old-style fighters who keep their hands down all the time and simply apply side-to-side body movement.
Alam mo yun, hindi na nakakikita yung kanang mata ni Lando sa palagay ko. Dahil doon tumataas at doon tama ang inabot niya rin.
Some of this blood is even rubbed up on the shoulder of Tai Moon-jin already.
Yes, pangapat na tama na yun. O, pang-5 na.
Pero nagdudugo din yung ilong ng Koreano.
Pero mas delikado yung mata ni Lando. Mas delikado yan.
Of course, between a nose cut and an eye. Hey, Lando making a lot of headway now.
Ang concentration ng Koreano dun sa kanang mata niya sapagkat na practically blind si Lando rin.
Lando trying desperately to protect that cut from further punishment. The Korean bleeding from the nostril is simply using Lando for target practice at this point. That was a serious handicap that he inflicted on Lando when he opened up that cut with an accidental headbutt. Or maybe it was an intentional headbutt, who knows, right in the first round. Lando trying to wipe off the blood from his right eye with his glove. In the process, his hands are being tied down. And the Korean is having a field day. But here comes Lando. Another cracking combination by the Korean. Leading up with a right followed by a left hook. Lando is in trouble as he runs smack into another savage right from the Korean and they wind up in an embrace. Lando looking very desperate at this point. It looks very grim here for the boy from the Tiangas. I'm really apprehensive about that cut worsening to a point where it might mean a second defeat in a row for Rolando at the hands of this Korean. Turning out to be a big round for the Korean with isolated flashes of brilliance from Navarrete as he tries to head off the onslaughts of the Korean with a left uppercut. Lando's hurt. Lando struggling to stay on his 2 feet. He just got tired there again with a vicious left from the Korean, whose face itself is a gory mess at this point. A gallant stand by Navarrete. He'll have to hang on until the sound of the bell. Poking right hand of the Korean, finding his target again. And a merciful bell ends a very bloody round for Navarrete. On a 2-dimensional basis. Now, this has been a bloody affair. Well, we expected no less from these two gallant ring gladiators. Overhand left there by the Korean, followed up by a right. Yung kaliwang yun ang talagang hindi pa ma-sold ni Lando.
Yes. Dating at dating sa kanyang mata. Kaya lumaki yung sugat niya at mahirap nang maapulan ni Bebo del Orde yung cut na yun sapagkat pumasok na sa mata ni Lando yung dugo. He is now fighting with only one eye. Delikado na ilagay nung kanyang kanang mata.
I think they will have to summon the ring doctor to take a good look at that eye during the break. Here comes the Korean, battering that eye mercilessly. Okay.
Yes, pati tingnan niya. Delikado yung lagay ng mata ni Lando.
Well, referee Abaenza did the right thing. Asked the ring doctor to take a look again at that cut. It looks like a nasty gash. The Korean's face is also splattered with blood, but none of his wounds are as serious as those on Navarrete's eye. Let's see the verdict of the ring doctor. If he says he cannot continue, then it goes down as a TKO victory for the Korean. Pwede pa raw.
Pwede pa raw.
Oh, yung Koreano naman ang patitingnan ng doktor. Well, this should be a welcome break for Navarrete. That cut of his is getting a breather from all the punishment it's been taken from the left hand of the Korean since the start of this round. And actually from the previous rounds, too. Action continues now. Korean teeing off with another right jab. Navarrete keeping his right hand very close to his eye to protect that bleeding piece of earth, as Julius Caesar would put it. Both fighters missed one at the start, but got followed up by a vicious right from Navarrete. Navarrete is no longer quick to take advantage of those situations because of that eye cut.
Yes, hindi niya makakita. Hindi niya makakita yung suntok na dumarating.
Yung Koreano naman ngayon ang kumukonekta. Relentless punishment for the Korean. And the bell ends the round mercifully for Rolando Navarrete. We shall return. We're back to the live action. This is now round 9. The Korean is looking for the kill. He picked up where he left off in round 8. He's looking to end the fight right here and now. Navarrete is hard back against the ropes. He connects with a powerful right hook. But that only temporarily stopped the Korean dead in his tracks, and the Korean is back to his murderous ways.
Navarrete could see the punches coming in.
Looks like the end of the line here for Rolando Navarrete. He's right in front of us. He's struggling to get up on his feet. He's falling out to the apron of the ring. I doubt if he can make it. Well, he's up on his feet. He's up on his feet. But the referee mercifully stops the fight. Navarrete was able to beat the count, but I think Mr. Abaenza did the right thing. I saw him very clearly when he fell into the apron of the ring right in front of us, and his eyes were glazed. Well, anyway, what I could see of his eyes, because the right eye was entirely covered with blood, and that gash is really something nasty. So it goes down as a technical knockout victory for the Korean. But it's a Pyrrhic victory for the Korean. Look at his face.
Yes, a pumping mess. That left eye is already closed. When he hit Navarrete with those solid blows to the cut. Alam mo, talagang pinahirapan siya ng Koreano dun sa cut na yan.
Okay, let's review the fatal last few seconds of the fight. Here comes the Korean. His punches are thrown from outside. Well, in that particular case, it was parried by Navarrete. But watch him load up again for another attack. Here it comes. A right smack on the cut. 2, actually. 1-2 on the same target. There's another one. Make that 4 shots to the cut. And the end is not too far away. There's that right. And Navarrete hits the deck. Look at the cut.